ask questions, put us on the spot.
See how quickly we can come up with the reason.
Yeah. We have slept since yesterday, so some of it's already been discharged.
So you picked me up.
Yeah, I went to bed before you did.
We can start off with the Judges Award. When we came in and before we started judging, we made a little tour around the tanks before we started judging. And that was the first koi that caught my eye at the show. Because I saw it and said, usually I can see a fish at a show that isn't quite finished, which we're judging for today. But as hobbyists, we see fish that this is what I would pick to grow out. So I saw that fish, I was like, oh, and that's the one that wound up being the one that I'd like to take home to grow out for later. Because you can already see that the sumi that's up on the head is a nice, deep, lacquer sumi. Not really the type of sumi you see on Showa a lot of times. It has closer to a Sanki type sumi. So hopefully when the rest of that sumi comes up, it's going to have that same lacquer black look to it, and that's going to be quite an impressive Sanki, Showa, when it gets bigger. It's got nice tight motor groove, I think on both sides. I can't see that, yeah, on both sides. And it's got the sumi starting to come up on the nose, and it'll probably connect with the nice lacquer black that's on the head right now. The Benny's nice, thick, even. Shiro has that, I don't know if you would call it that luminescence you kept talking about.
Luminescence, yeah. Pearl essence.
It's got a nice body shape for its size. It's tight, so it's not getting a pot belly from either not getting enough exercise or too much food all at once. So I'm looking forward to seeing that fish when I come up in a few years to see how it's progressed.
A couple other striking fish here. Talk about the Goshiki.
Yeah, that's another one I'd like to see in a few years.
Yeah. You look at that fish and at first glance you think it's a Kohaku, but when you look there's that real light gray netting in the white area. Alright. I'm presuming it's going to be a newer style, which means the Benny will remain clean. So you'll have a real nice contrast between that clean Benny and the gray netting.
Unfortunately today it had some competition, a really nice Goshi. It was finished, ready today, but
that's a future fish.
Yeah, because when you're looking for a Goshi, this is what you want to look for at this size. You don't want the ones with the real dark reticulation already, because it just gets darker and darker, and then after a while you don't even see it anymore. So this is kind of what you want to look for at that size. Nice, real nice.
We've even seen from Tosho Sakai, at this size, you'd swear it was a Kohaku, because you see no signs whatsoever. And the only one that knows it's a Goshiki is the breeder, because you put it in a tank. We had a few of them at the seminar this last year. It was a tank full of Goshiki we were supposed to judge, and we thought, oh, they put the Kohaku in the wrong tank. It could have actually gotten first or second place in Kohaku, but you give it a few years and that starts to show.
And in benching at a show, you bench the fish where it's at today. Alright? So if that fish didn't have that gray netting yet, even though it genetically is a Goshiki, it's still benching in Kohaku. That fish you benched was benched correctly, it belonged in Goshiki. Right? But a lot of times people will bring a fish to the show and say, well, this is a Goshiki. Not today, it's not. Right? Put it where it has the best chance, and if you don't have any of that gray showing, put it in Kohaku. We don't care necessarily about the genetics when we're judging the fish. We're judging the appearance of the fish. The other fish I like to talk about is the Shiro Atsuri. Right, very nice Shiro, nice white ground, tight motor girl, good quality black, but it's not finished enough for today for the rest of the competition. Again, a future fish. And for people that are aspiring for higher and higher awards and want to compete for a grand champion, these are the types of fish at those sizes you want to look for. All right? They're not finished yet. Right? But you can tell they're high quality future fish. You'll hear judges talk about conformation and pattern. If you picture a graph with crossing intersect lines for importance of attributes, conformation on a big fish is almost everything. Okay? Pattern on a small fish is almost everything. And conformation is of lower importance in a small fish, higher importance in a big fish. Okay? Pattern, more important in a small fish, less important in a big fish.
Having both the best in size 1 and best in size 2 in this tank, so it was very easy for us to judge young, because we could bowl them up in the same tank. It's the same bowl. We don't get to do that often. We had the smaller Kohaku best in size 1 and the larger one best in size 2. And you know, some people may think, well, it's an easy decision, the bigger fish wins. Well, it wasn't that cut and dry, because the smaller Sanki, look at that, how white that nose is. That's really nice. And the Benny's nice, and I think it really came down to, you know, the bigger Kohaku, a little more body shape to it, and there was just a little bit of a, I don't even see it today, but yesterday on the smaller, I guess,
pinkish hue,
a little
right?
pinkish hue that may just be because as it grows out, the shear will thicken up a little bit. You won't see that anymore. But that was close for baby between those two Kohaku. Both have nice heat plates. If the bigger one, the Domi, that's the white area right before the tail, if it wasn't quite as big, it would have made a really easy decision.
Yeah, in proportion it should be the same as the smaller one.
The Domi a lot of times can make the tail look a lot stronger, because you get a break, that white break right before the tail, so it makes that peduncle look a little stronger.
You didn't take off any points for the Benny that's out of place, the little red spots that seem to be all isolated by themselves?
On what, the smaller one?
The two
Well, oh yeah.
The two little ones down there.
It's, for a small fish like that, it really wasn't distracting. You get it much bigger, it may, but really when it gets bigger, we're looking at quality and conformation.
And actually, it helps balance the pattern. When we talk about balancing, a lot of people automatically assume symmetrical. That's not the case. You can have asymmetrical balancing. So as you look at that small one, and it's got the Boulder Benny down its right side, and it's got two medium areas on its left side, followed by those two lower ones. All right. From an aesthetic value, it actually helps balance that pattern in this case. All right, and can be a positive when the textbooks tell you that's typically a negative. All right. In this case, it became a positive.